there, this is Crystal, and today I am playing with something very special. So I was given the opportunity to play with the brand new cut files from Scrapbook.com. This is just part of the cut file itself. So when you get this cut file, you get the full-size title. You also get a background in both 12 by 12, traveler's notebook size, and in card size, and then you get the same sentiment sized down for cards and traveler's notebooks as well. So you get a lot in this one cut file. So what I've done is cut the title. I have used this paper from Merry Little Christmas from Pebbles. It's the back side of the counting down paper. So I've used that and I've cut the title out of it. I have also created a little stencil for myself. So I'm not sure if you can see this. Let me, here. Now hopefully you can see it a bit better. But this is the card base that comes in the cut file set. This is the one with snow. You can get it with or without snow. I've cut this just from a notebook divider, like a binder divider that you can get at any office supply store. I actually got this at Dollar Tree. So I got a set of, I think, 6 of them for just $1. And I've just cut that. So it's just a really thin plastic. I've just cut it on my silhouette. And that makes a really simple stencil. So you can make your own stencils from cut files at home. So there's a little tip for you there. And then I've used that on a sheet of this is just American Crafts textured cardstock. I've used it with some modeling paste and just created, hopefully you can see that, just a little bit of texture in the background using this background pattern. So it has some trees and snowflakes, and then I plan to put my title right on top of it like that. So this is not quite dry. I'm gonna set it aside to finish drying and talk to you about the other supplies I've pulled for this layout. So to back my cut file, I have cut from this sheet of Doodlebug Designs. It's sugar-coated cardstock in Lily White. So I have taken the cut file, the title cut file, and offset it and cut that with my silhouette as well. I thought that would be much easier than trying to cut this glitter paper by hand. So I just went ahead and created a backing for it out of that. I also have a few other things. So if you've been watching my channel, you may know that I don't have a lot of Christmas supplies this year, but I do have a few. So I have a few other things from the Merry Little Christmas collection, a few scraps here. I have this sheet. It's called Holly Jolly. I have another scrap of Oh Christmas Tree. Oh, I have this piece of Santa on the Go, and then I also have a full sheet of the tags just for you. So that's all the paper that I have from this collection. I did pull in this Jen Hadfield specialty paper. It's a gold foil because I knew I wanted to add some bits of gold, especially because I have these stickers. These are puffy stickers from the new Pink Paisley Christmas collection. They're called Good Tidings. And then I also have a couple other embellishments. These are the puffy stickers from Pink Fresh Studios Home for the Holidays. And then I have some enamel dots from Holly Jolly. I also have a piece of vellum because I thought I might want to include some of that behind my photo. Speaking of my photo, this is my photo. It's of the beginning of the Christmas season last year. So I thought that would be a nice compliment to the title. But otherwise, I don't really have a plan other than it seems like my photo should sit there based on the shape of the cut file. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just going to play around and have some fun. So I'm going to start by going ahead and gluing the back of this cut file, gluing these two pieces together, and then hopefully my background will be dried and I can start on the layout. So as I said, I'm going to start by backing my cut file, and to do that I'm just using some Scotch tacky glue in a fine line bottle, but really any fine tip glue would work. I do find, however, that a liquid glue definitely works better on this glittered cardstock than, say, a tape runner or even like double-sided adhesive would work. So that doesn't really work on the glitter, but but liquid adhesive works really well. So really any liquid adhesive will work to do this. I just added it around all the edges. I didn't make you watch that. And then because I had this backing perfectly sized for my cut file, because I created that in Silhouette Studio, it was super easy to just plop that on top of the outline, and then it was all done. I did add some weight to parts of it just to keep it in place, because it did really not want to stick to that glitter cardstock. But it is all done now, and my background is all dry, so I can start putting my layout together. Right now I'm just playing around with some layers behind my photo. So I want to include several different layers behind my photo. I'm just not sure which ones yet. So I really like that Jen Hadfield specialty paper with the gold dots directly behind my photo. I had considered adding a white border, but that paper kind of serves that same purpose, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then I had a polka dot paper, but because I have this gold polka dot, it just didn't look right to have both of the polka dots together, so I switched it out for the tone on tone paper that says ho ho ho. I think that's the Santa on the Go paper, and then I added the Oh Christmas Tree paper behind that. So I'm just gonna do simple borders, simple matting around my photo. I'm keeping it very simple. Normally I would kind of offset things or tear things, but for this layout I felt like it called for something simpler and just more straightforward. So I'm just doing a really thin border of all three of these papers around my photo, and I'm just trimming it out with my scissors and using my Scrapbook.com adhesive to glue these together. I had my other adhesive out, but it broke midway through a line of adhesive, so I grabbed this one instead, and it worked. It actually worked really well. So you cannot see the background, but there is texture there, I promise. It's really hard to see on camera, but hopefully you can see it in the close-up photos in the end. But it really does add a beautiful texture to the background, and just has that nice snow and tree pattern, adds to the wintry feeling of the whole page. So right now I'm cutting out a few of these tags from the cut apart paper from Merry Little Christmas, and I really liked the one that said Merry and Bright. I thought that worked really well for my photo. And then there was a little smaller tag that said Merry Everything. But I wanted to give myself some options, so both of those were red, and I decided to cut out a couple that were green just in case I needed some balance of color on my page. And then I can just kind of start playing around. So I've moved all the papers off to the side, and I have all of my embellishments ready to go, and I'm just going to play around and see what works. So I really liked both of those tags on the page, but if I had them both there, you wouldn't be able to read one of them, and I definitely wanted you to be able to read what was there, so I decided to take the green one away and just use the Merry and Bright tag. And then I've pulled over these Pink Fresh Studio puffy stickers, and I'm going to add 3 of them to the page in kind of a visual triangle around where my photo and title meet. So I chose a little tree and a house and a little banner of lights at the bottom. And then I'm also going to add in some more gold. I want to make sure I sprinkle the gold around the page, so I'm just using a few of these little twigs from this pink paisley, these puffy thickers, and I've added one little gold kind of pine needle twig to each of my clusters. And I like the way that that is looking, so I'm going to go ahead and start adhering things down. So to add my photo, I'm just using some of the regular Scrapbook.com roller adhesive. I had thought maybe I would need to use some liquid adhesive since I do have that modeling paste on the background, but where my photo sat, there really wasn't any, so I didn't need to do that. I could just use the regular rolling adhesive or tape roller. And somehow in this process I lost the center of my E, so I just had to cut another one. Luckily I still had the kind of off cut of that, and I was able to trace it and just cut out a tiny little piece for the center. And then I'm going to use that offcut to make sure it's in the exact right place, just placing it down in the center of the E where the hole was on the offcut, and then there it is, all done. So I've decided I want to pop up my title, so I've grabbed out some foam adhesive. These are Sticky Thumb foam dots from American Crafts, and I added a ton of them to the back of my cut file. I didn't make you watch all that. It did take a couple minutes to get all of those stuck down and to get all the backing paper peeled off, but there it is. And those are really nice thick foam dots, so it adds lots of dimension to the page and gives me somewhere to tuck in all those little embellishment clusters that I had started to create. So I did grab out my Crop-A-Dile to punch a hole in the top of that tag, and I have some red and white baker's twine from Doodlebug that I'm going to tie into the top, and I'm also going to add a little bow there. Just again, it feels more festive to have a bow rather than just the plain twine sticking out. And I am going to tuck that kind of in behind my photo and behind the title. So I did have to lift up those foam dots just a little bit, but that worked just fine. And then I can start adding the other things back to this cluster. I add this twig and I got it completely in the wrong spot, but I don't realize it quite yet. I'll go back and fix that here in a minute. But first I'm going to go and add the little puffy stickers on this side of my photo. And then I realized, what was I thinking? That's not the right spot. So I got it down where I had it originally, and then I can work on my third cluster. So I'm just trimming out this little tag that said Merry Everything. I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole in that as well. But first I wanted to figure out where exactly I wanted it to sit. So I thought about adding it on top of my cut file and adding foam behind it so that it would be lifted up off the page, but it just didn't quite sit right. So I've decided just to add it flat to the background instead, and I think that will work just fine. So I'm gonna again punch a hole in the tag and then add some of that same Doodlebug twine, and this time I'm not going to tie it in a bow. I'm just going to leave it straight and pull it down across the bottom of my title. That kind of gives my title some place to sit. I really like the way that that turned out, and then I can add in those other puffy stickers exactly where I had them before. And I am adding just little tiny dots of glue so that that twine stays exactly where I want it. I'm going to do the same thing to the tag at the top just to make sure that it's not flopping around the page or covering up part of my photo or part of the sentiment on that tag. I want everything visible, so that just makes sure that it stays exactly where I want it. And then as a final touch, I'm going to add a few of these enamel dots from my mind's eye to each of the clusters. So I choose one in red and one in green for each cluster, and then I was trying to decide which other color I wanted to use or if I wanted to add another color, and I decided to add the pink because there is a bit of pink in the paper behind my photo as well as in the tag, and I wanted to make it look purposeful instead of like it just didn't belong there. So I thought adding some purposeful dots of pink that would make it just make sense on the page. So I've decided also that that top left corner just looks a little empty, so I'm going to add a little strip of paper up there. I'm just going to take my scissors and cut away a chunk of the background and then add a little strip of that polka dot paper. So this is red paper with pink polka dots. Again, it brings in more of that pink and helps it make more sense on the page. I'm just cutting a tiny strip. I'm going to add a little line of glue and then line that up with the top of the page, and it makes it look like there's a whole page layered behind it, but really it's just that tiny strip. And that's it. That's my whole page done. So I hope you've enjoyed this process. I wanted to say also that Scrapbook.com did send me these cut files for free, but I would not be sharing them here if I didn't love them. I have been so impressed with them and how much you get in the cut file. So be sure to check out the link below if you'd like to see the cut file for yourself or pick it up. And I have also linked all of the supplies I've used down below in the description box as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all back here soon.